We got breaking news. The NCAA has canceled signing day. I mean, pretty much, kind of. Today, news broke that the letters of intent that recruits normally sign is no more. I got On3's Pete Nakos here with me. We're going to break it all down. But first, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. Major changes taking place. You're going to want to be subscribed. We're going to break it all down. All right, Pete, no more letters of intent. Does this mean that signing day, which I've been saying is 10, 11 weeks away, December 4th was the early signing day. Is it canceled?
It's not canceled, Josh, but it's going to look a lot different than we've gotten to know for the last, actually, like over 50 years now.
Okay, so the letter of intent is gone, but we were talking on the phone before I got in, and you say that there is still something to sign.
Yeah, so, revenue sharing is coming to college sports. And that's supposed to start the 25-26 academic year. So all the recruits we're talking about right now, they're going to be the first class who get that revenue sharing dollars. Okay, So the NCAA made this move today because they're going to need to reshape and rethink what a binding agreement looks like for an athlete when so many dollars are attached. And that is why we've seen the national letter of intent go away. So there's still going to be binding documents moving forward. Those need to be reshaped and rewritten. But for the time being, yes, the national letter of intent is officially dead as we know it.
All right. Do you think that this is going to be the norm moving forward, or it sounds like we're in like a temporary weird space that we're going to get some finality to in a year or two?
I would say that timeline, yeah, maybe a little.
Was a necessary step. That's what
this was a necessary step to the end destination. Okay. Yes.
So finally, we agree with the move that the NCAA made.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe. All right. So because you said that December 4th, early signing day, will still be there, but it's going to look a little different. What do you mean by that? What exactly do you think it could look like?
Well, to be honest with you, Josh, I don't think we know exactly what December 4th, which is 10, 11 weeks away at this point, is going to look like this year, especially with today's decision. The one thing that we will know, though, is athletes are obviously going to enroll in universities. Athletes are always going to want to announce where they're going to college. And in this age of NIL and soon-to-be revenue sharing, I think more and more we're going to see athletes announce financial agreements, whether it be with the third-party collective or eventually with the institution.
Okay. So no more letters of intent. You can sign what would you call it?
I would call it along with the National Letter of Intent, which has been signed, I mean, the NLI program actually started in 1904. Athletes have also signed these like scholarship and financial aid agreements, right? Because you need to accept financial aid to get a scholarship. So certain documents like that may still exist.
So I've always understood that like the financial aid and those other documents, while you could sign them, they weren't necessarily binding. The only thing that was binding was the letter of intent. Or simply enrolling. The moment that you enroll, as long as they got a spot for you and all that, that moment that creates a binding deal, at least for 1 year in college football, where you're locked in. So, is it still gonna? We've had prospects ask out of their letter of intent. Are we gonna see that happening moving forward?
I think it's gonna be a lot more tricky, right? When athletes are making dollars from a collective or the institution that are revenue sharing dollars, I think that's when things get much more muddier than they already are. And that's when, if an athlete's supposed to make X amount of dollars in year one at their institution, walking out 2 or 3 months after they enroll in college, that is not going to be a situation where they're going to be able to pocket all the dollars that were guaranteed in year one. Okay. And that's what's going to make it more complicated.
So you think maybe if this goes the right way, this could lock guys into schools for a longer period of time eventually?
Eventually, you're never going to really be able to cap the movement that athletes are allowed to make.
Even once revenue sharing is involved?
Yeah, I mean, that yesterday, on Tuesday, the NCAA revamped their transfer portal legislation, right? So now you're going to have 20 days as a college football player to go in December and then 10 days in April. And the reason why they left the spring portal open for those 10 days, Josh, is because the minute you start to really close in on when athletes can and can't enter, that's when lawsuits pop up. And that's when you get more antitrust violations.
Yeah, and the NCAA hasn't fared very well with those. Okay, so let's wrap it up. Where does this go in 25-26? Do we have a national signing day and them signing something other than a letter of intent?
Yeah, we will have a national signing day every year moving forward. I do think, though, that the entire recruiting calendar could be reshaped in the years to come.
Yeah.
And I think the document that athletes sign that bind them to an institution is going to break down how much revenue share dollars they're expected to make year by year. I think that is going to be in documents that they sign. Now, what it looks like in 2024, we're going to keep reporting on and trying to dive into to help you figure out what your December 4th is going to look like, Josh.
All right. Well, we woke up to a whole new world of recruiting. No more letters of intent. What does it mean for signing day? You guys, let us know. How are we feeling about these changes? Do you think ultimately these are the right moves being made by the NCAA? Let us know. Comment section below.